Hi everyone, my name is Haley and welcome back or welcome to my channel. For this week's video, I wanted to go through all of the sports romance books I've read and rank them for you to give you some insight on which ones I think are worth reading and which ones I think you don't need to spend any time on. There are a ton of sports romance out there, and it was a genre that I really didn't know existed until like last year, maybe a year and a half ago, and now it's just been a spiral. I really love sports romance books. I want to find the best ones because it can be a lot of work and a lot of time reading all of the series that are already out and trying to find the really good ones. So that is what I am here to do for you, is to let you know which ones I think are worth it and which ones I think are not. So I have my list right here and I will give you my ratings, and if I have a review I will tell you, but some of these I've read a long time ago and I can't remember why I gave it a certain rating, but I will tell you what they're about. I'll give you my rating, and if it is there, I will give you my review as well. So without further ado, let's just get into it. A lot of these are series, and I wanted to read a lot of sports romance in preparation for this video, so I could have read a couple of books in a series but maybe not in another series, and that's just because I wanted to refresh my memory on the writing style of certain authors if I had read their books a long time ago. So that's why some of these books will have multiple in the series read and other ones just one in the series read. I hope that makes sense. Okay, the first series I will be talking about is Hot Shots by Lissa Lemayer, and the first book in that series is called First Score. I talked about this in my April reading wrap-up. So I gave this book 3 stars. I listened to it on audio, and let me tell you what it's about. So First Score follows our two main characters, Blaze and Kay. Blaze is a star hockey player, and this is a little side note, hockey romance is my favorite type of sports romance, so there is probably going to be a theme here. Anyway, so Blaze is the college star hockey player and Kay is a super genius, and she is a senior in college at 18 years old. Because of this, she's kind of a social pariah and doesn't really have any friends and has no sexual experience, so she makes a deal with Blaze that she will help him with tutoring if he will help her have some sexual experience. That's the gist of it. So for my review, I said this was pretty good, felt a little long, but I did like the exposition we got of the characters because I feel like I knew them pretty well by the end. I'm just not sure how I feel about her being 18 and a senior in college. I guess she's more mature because of her experiences, but that was one thing I didn't enjoy about this book, was she's 18 and he I think is like 23 or 24, maybe 22, and that's not a big age range when you're older really, but and like she just turned 18. I don't know. I didn't really like that part of it. The writing was fine. There was nothing that really made it stick out to me. It was a very average sports romance book. A lot of the premises I find of sports romance are like a tutoring trope. So if you like that, I would give it a shot, but there are definitely better ones out there. So yeah, this is a very average sports romance series. And the next series I'm going to be talking about is the Cold Fury Hockey series by Sawyer Bennett. First one in that series is called Alex, and that's the one that I read. So as the name suggests, we follow Alex, who is a hockey player, and the other main character is called Sutton, and she is a social worker and she focuses on drug abuse and outreach programs. And so Alex is known as the bad boy, and his coach wants him to clean up his public image, and so he sends Alex to work with Sutton on a outreach program for drug abuse, and so he can, you know, go and be a part of this program and get his public image to be a little bit nicer and a little bit more caring than it is at the start of the book. I gave this 3 stars as well, and I think my review literally says I have no particularly strong feelings about it. I feel like sometimes in sports romance not a lot happens, and that was how I felt with this one. There's nothing that stuck out to me. I didn't feel genuinely strong about any of them, and yeah, very average. If you're like an avid sports romance reader, you don't need to read this. Okay, so the next series I'm going to be talking about is the Campus Wallflower series by Rebecca Genchak, and I had read Tutoring the Player, see, tutoring trope. I read Tutoring the Player last year when it came out, and then Hating the Player last month. and that's the second book in the series. And I honestly was a little bit disappointed with Hating the Player, but I really enjoyed Tutoring the Player. So I gave Tutoring the Player, I think, 4.5 stars, and then I ended up giving Hating the Player 3.5 stars. So yeah, let me walk you through both of those books. Tutoring the Player follows Daisy and Jordan. Daisy usually goes for the good guys, the stable guys, and Jordan is the complete opposite of that, and he plays hockey. He asks her to tutor him. If you want to look inside my brain, it's just hockey, tutoring, sports romance. But that is the premise of the first one, and I really liked this. I gave it a 4.5 star. There was a little bit of groveling at the end, which I always enjoy. I liked the banter. I liked that she got along with his friends. They had a really nice relationship, and I liked the progression of it. Like, I really enjoyed it. And then Hating the Player follows other characters from the first book, and so it's Daisy's cousin, I believe, named Violet, and one of Jordan's friends named, oh, his name's Gavin, and he is a basketball player. And in the first book, Violet and Gavin had a thing and it ended badly. We don't really get a lot of what happened with their relationship in the first book. I think it's just like it happened and now it's over, and that is the plot for the second one. It's like enemies to lovers. They go on a camping trip together, and honestly, this second book felt like a novella rather than a full novel. It says it's 300 pages, but not a lot happened in the book. So the synopsis is Gavin and Violet are next door neighbors, and now they're stuck on a camping trip together, and there's only one tent and there's nowhere else for either of them to sleep, and that's how they start to kind of rekindle their friendship and eventually something more. The synopsis is about the camping trip, but that is literally like the first 20% of the book, and then they come back. And so I don't really understand why that is such a big part of the plot synopsis when it really isn't a big plot in the book. And they were not really enemies for very long either. I don't really know why the synopsis is like enemies to lovers, stuck forced proximity camping trip. Like, that is 20% of the book, maybe a little bit more, but like not enough for it to be the main selling point. And then, like I said, nothing really happens. I just feel like this second book had so much more potential and it kind of fell flat. I would definitely recommend Tutoring the Player. Like, that is one of my all-time favorite sports romance books. I would say you could probably skip Hating the Player, and I think there might be more in the series that are going to be coming out, but you could definitely skip that one unless like you really like Gavin and Violet. But it was good. It's just, I guess it's good it's a second book and not a first one, because it's not good enough that it would make me want to keep reading the whole series like Tutoring the Player did. I don't know if any of that made sense, but as a whole I would give this series a 4-star because that's the average of the 2 ratings I gave, and I would definitely recommend. Start with Tutoring the Player, and then if you enjoy it you can read Hating the Player, but you could honestly skip it. The next sports romance book I read was Icebreaker by Hannah Grace, and this is part of the Maple Hills series. I believe the second one is coming out in October, but I don't know if it's a sports romance. I think it's just like an extended college universe, and the first one happened to be a sports romance, but I could be wrong. I haven't read the second one because it's not out yet. We'll talk about the first one, and it is hockey and figure skater romance, which is one of my all-time favorite pairs. It reminds me of that one movie, The Cutting Edge. It is about this girl named Anastasia and this boy named Nathan. Anastasia is a competitive figure skater at the college, and Nathan is on the college hockey team. There is a misunderstanding that leads to both of them needing to share the rink, and so kind of forced proximity type of stuff, but also he ends up having to train with her because her partner gets injured and can't work with her, and they have like a competition coming up. That's also a forced proximity thing, and I just really love this book so much. I gave it 4 stars. I would probably bump it up to a 4.5, but for now it's at a 4, but yeah, probably a 4.5. I really loved the banter between them. I loved each character individually. I love them together. I love forced proximity. Like, it's so good. And like a figure skater with a hockey player, like, oh my god, they are just, it's so good. Like, Hannah Grace wrote this book for me, I think. I really loved it. I think one reason why it's not a 5-star is because I have read a better ice skating romance book that I will be talking about. If you like forced proximity, if you like, you know, enemies to lovers, if you like independent main characters, if you like a man sticking up for his woman, this book has it all. I would definitely recommend, and I would also recommend starting with this book if you're trying to get into sports romance. It's an easy read, but it's just so good, and I still think about it, and I love Anastasia and Nathan so much. And then Rebecca Genshak has another series called Smart Jocks, which I think is just like a hilarious name, and I read 2 books from this series, and so I read The Fadeaway and The Assist. The Assist is the first one, and it is a basketball romance, so let me tell you what that's about. So it is tutoring again, but it is the jock that ends up tutoring the main girl. So we follow Blair and Wes, and I'm pretty sure in the beginning like Blair might have insulted him or insinuated that he wasn't smart, and it turns out he's like the smartest one in the class and she needs his help to tutor her and pass the class. So again, not really enemies, but like an uncomfortable starting point when someone knows that like you insulted them. I don't remember much about it, but I did give it 4 stars. So I think it was really good, and I really enjoy Rebecca Genshak's sports romance. I like her writing, I like her pacing most of the time, and I think that the reverse roles of like the smart jock is so funny. And then the second one is called The Fadeaway. I ended up giving this 4 stars as well. So The Fadeaway follows Joel and Katrina, and he is a jock, and he keeps going and asking her out, and she is a single mom and he doesn't know that, and so that's a big reason why she keeps saying no, but she really looks forward to him coming in and still trying. So it follows them and the progression of their relationship and everything like that. Again, I didn't write a review because I didn't start writing down my Goodreads reviews until recently, but I did give it 4 stars. I think the Smart Jocks series is a really good place to start. I only read the first 2 books, but I gave them both 4 stars, and I would recommend. And Rebecca Genshak, all in all, is just a good author to go to for sports romance. That series is a 4-star series for me, and let's move on to the next one. The next book I have is Heartless Player in the Westfall U series by R.C. Stevens. I gave this a 2.75, and I think that might be one of the lowest sports romance ratings I have. I can just start by telling you their names. Their names are Wolf and Rebel. I don't know. I just find it kind of tacky when authors choose names that are like the personification of the character that they're trying to portray. Like Wolf is trying to be a bad boy, and Rebel is like not like all the other girls, you know what I mean? And so you choose those names because it embodies what their character is. I don't know. I don't really enjoy that. That was one thing I didn't like about this book. I didn't write a review for this one, but I'll tell you what it's about. Wolf is a hockey player. He's the captain, and he for some reason has a crush or is infatuated with Rebel, and so it kind of just follows like their friendship and relationship, the progression of it and everything like that. I feel like it was too much of like, oh, this boy who's really hot and really popular likes me, so now I feel beautiful. Which like I think there is a right way to write how love can make you love yourself, but I feel like in this book it was like not done well. No one ever needs validation from someone else to feel beautiful, but of course it happens, and so I definitely think you can write it in a good way, but this one just wasn't done well. It was kind of cringy, just really not my thing, and I never read another one in this series, so this is definitely towards the bottom of the list, and I would not recommend. And the next book I read is The Captain by Josie Blake, and that is part of the Chesterborough University series. I gave this a 3.75, and let me tell you what it's about. So this book follows Cord and Hannah. Cord is the star hockey player, and Hannah is at the university on a music scholarship. She lives alone in a trailer park, and she doesn't really have anyone, and she really just wants to focus on her music and her career, and Cord's ex will not leave him alone, and I don't remember how they meet, but eventually he asks her to be his fake girlfriend so that his ex will back off, and now Hannah, you know, has someone that she can spend some time with. Again, I don't remember much about it, but I did enjoy it. I think it probably was like the characters weren't annoying, and the pacing was good, and the progression of the relationship was good. So yeah, I love a fake relationship because it always leads to a real one. I liked it. I don't know what else to say. I gave it a 3.75 star, but I didn't read any more in the series. I think it was a 3.75 as a standalone, but it didn't entice me to read any more of the series, so keep that in mind if you go into it. And if you have read the rest, let me know if it's good, because I didn't move on. So the next book I read was Shameless King by Hughes, and that's part of the Kings of Rittenhouse series. I gave this book a 3.5 star. So Shameless King follows Declan and McKenna. They went to high school together and hated each other, and now they ended up at the same college, and McKenna is Declan's lab partner, and he has to work with her because if he doesn't get good grades, his hockey career could be on the line, and so they are forced to have to work together even though they hate each other and haven't spoken to each other since high school. His mission is to prove to her that everything that she thinks he is, it's not true. Pretty average. I don't really remember much about it, but it was good enough for me to rate it a 3.5, but I never finished or continued the rest of the series. But yeah, I gave this a 3.5, don't remember much, but a good average sports romance. And again, hockey player, so obviously I enjoyed it. It's Megan Quinn, and that is The Locker Room, and that is part of the Brentwood Boys series. This is a baseball romance, and I really do enjoy baseball, like as a sport in general, and I don't read a lot of baseball romance, so I feel like I should, but I gave this a 3.75 star. Have you heard the rumor around campus about The Locker Room? If you haven't, let me enlighten you. Legend has it, if you bring a girl into the sacred after-game domain of the baseball locker room, it will end with a walk down the aisle. One rowdy and naked encounter against the lockers with the girl of your dreams will make her your wife. Translation: baseball players are stupidly superstitious and believe the locker room has magical powers. But not all baseball players are superstitious, me included. So when the girl I've fallen for brushes me off, I start to question if I need to switch my way of thinking. Maybe it's time I finally hand out a coveted invitation to the locker room. The only question is, will she accept? So yeah, I gave it a 3.75. I did not read any more in the series, and I did not write my review. But I do remember looking at the synopsis of the rest of the series, and I did not like the tropes that were there. There was an accidental pregnancy one, which I really just don't like, and a couple other ones that I really wasn't a fan of. So the first one was really good, but I think because of the tropes that were going to be in the rest of the series, I just didn't continue. But you can look it up and see what they're about if you are into those kind of tropes. The first one's really good, but yeah, for me, I just didn't continue the series. The next book I read was Throttled by Lauren Asher, and it's book 1 in the Dirty Air series, and I ended up giving it 3 stars, but it is a race car romance, which is really fun. Like, I haven't read another one, and I would really love to, so if you have any recommendations, make sure to put them down below. But yeah, I gave this a 3 star, and I will read you the synopsis. What happens when my brother's rival becomes my secret crush? Noah Slade is a Formula One legend in the making. Focused, unapproachable, ruthless on and off the track, a man with walls higher than the Grand Canyon, and my brother's new teammate. I want more of the prince who disguises himself as the villain, but while I crave a happy ending, he wants to destroy his. Maya Alatorre is a forbidden temptation, an ambitious post-grad I should stay far away from, in chaos wrapped with a bow. We are a ticking time bomb about one wrong move away from exploding. I want to trip the wire, detonating together in passion and pain, but in the end, all's fair in lust and war. So, brothers, teammate, forbidden romance. I really liked the guy and the girl, but I just don't think that the writing or something about it just wasn't my favorite. But I did like them, and I do want to read more F1 or like race car romance. But yeah, this series is super popular, but for me it was pretty average, and I just didn't continue because none of the side characters I really cared about enough to want to read their romance. So yeah, 3 stars for this. Maybe I'll revisit it, but I really don't think I will. The next book I will be talking about is Bad Boys Break Hearts by Macaulay Smeltzer. This is part of the Boys series, and I gave this a 3.5, and I actually do have a review for this, and I will tell you the synopsis. So this is about Mason and Rory. They were childhood best friends, but something happens where Rory has to move and they lose contact when they're like really young, like 10 and 8 or something, and so they haven't talked to each other since then. Mason attends college and is a baseball player, and Rory enrolls in the same university as him, and they end up running into each other because she spent the night with his roommate and best friend, and so they run into each other. He hates her from the moment he sees her again, and so yeah, it's enemies to lovers and childhood best friends to enemies to lovers. Gave it a 3.5, so let me read you my review. I'm rating this above a 3 because I liked it enough to where I could see myself reading other books in the series. I feel like the front that Mason put on when he first saw Rory was so strong, and it flipped to him being nice so fast that I felt like they were two completely different people. I wish that Mason's hate to love was a little more linear and not so jumpy, but overall it was a pretty good enemies to lovers. Just wish there was more enemying. But yeah, the enemy aspect wasn't very strong because, like I said, it flipped really fast from being enemies to being friends. Also, this book is called Bad Boys Break Hearts, but Mason didn't give me bad boy vibes. He really didn't. Is he only a bad boy because he hates her? Like, he doesn't act like a bad boy, he doesn't do anything that would constitute him as a bad boy. So I felt like the title was a little bit misleading because I really just don't feel the bad energy, which I guess is good, but I don't know. So that's my review. Do with it what you will. I would say it's a good series to start. The next book is Mile High by Liz Tomford, and that is part of the Windy City series, I believe it's called. And I gave this a 4-star, and it follows our main character, Evan Zanders, who is a pro hockey player, and Stevie, and she is a flight attendant for the hockey team. And it is like attraction at first sight for Evan. He loves to get on Stevie's nerves. There's no fraternizing between the employees and the players. Sometimes rules are meant to be broken. So in my review, I said this was such a good hockey romance. I love Stevie so much and the real life struggles that were brought up with both characters when it comes to body image, confidence, mental health, etc. I loved the growth we saw from both characters too, and I was pretty emotional at one point. I just don't really love books where the characters get together so soon, so that's why it's not a 5-star, and I'm really looking forward to the second book in this series. I actually have both of them. I haven't read the second one yet. Everyone likes the second one better is what I've heard, and that follows Stevie's best friend and Stevie's brother, which I'm really excited for, and he's a pro basketball player. Stevie's best friend moves in with him, so really excited about that. But yeah, I gave this book a 4-star. It's a really good hockey romance. Again, I don't feel like a lot of romance books maybe tackle the serious topics, and if they do, it's not done in like the best way, but this book really did tackle them and did a great job of exploring them and doing it in a healthy way and showing the readers like how to handle certain situations, and it was just really good. And I'm really looking forward to the next one. I definitely think it would be a really good one to start with. It is a little bit spicy, so just keep that in mind, but really great and really looking forward to the next book. The last 3 books I'm going to be talking about are Mariana Zapata books. There can't be a sports romance video without a Mariana Zapata book thrown in there. So yeah, I'm gonna tell you the ones that I read, what I rated them, and what they're about. So the first one I'm gonna talk about is Culty. So I gave Culty 4.5 stars, and when the man you worshipped as a kid becomes your coach, it's supposed to be the greatest thing in the world. Keyword supposed to. It didn't take a week for 27-year-old Sal Casillas to wonder what she'd seen in the international soccer icon, why she'd ever had his posters on her wall, or ever envisioned marrying him and having super playing soccer babies. Sal had long ago gotten over the worst non-breakup in the history of imaginary relationships with a man who hadn't known she existed, so she isn't prepared for the version of Reiner Culty who shows up to her team's season, a quiet, reclusive shadow of the explosive, passionate man he'd once been. It was so good. It was just so good. Like, if you've read a Mariana Zapata book, you understand her slow burns. Like, her books are long, but they're so worth it. The character development from each character is just chef's kiss, and when they finally get together, it's like you want to shout from the rooftops. It's so good. I really love the coach and player dynamic. I don't know. I love a forbidden romance. I just really love her characters and how she writes. But I gave this a 4.5, I think because Culty just wasn't my favorite male protagonist out of the ones that she's written, but a 4.5 is still an amazing score, and if you like slow burns, I would definitely recommend this book. Like, I can't say it enough. Read Culty and read every other Mariana Zapata book that I'm about to tell you because they're just so good and so worth it. So the next one is The Wall of Winnipeg and Me, and I gave this 5 stars. Vanessa Mazur knows she's doing the right thing. She shouldn't feel bad for quitting. Being an assistant slash housekeeper slash fairy godmother to the top defensive end in the National Football Organization was always supposed to be temporary. She has plans, and none of them include washing extra large underwear longer than necessary. But when Aiden Graves shows up at her door wanting her to come back, she's beyond shocked. For 2 years, the man known as the Wall of Winnipeg couldn't find it in him to tell her good morning or congratulate her on her birthday. Now he's asking for the unthinkable. What do you say to the man who is used to getting everything he wants. There is forced proximity. There is a little bit of enemies to lovers, enemies on Vanessa's side. I just love a brooding main guy. Like, not so brooding where like he doesn't talk to you, but we see him come out of his shell, and I love when the male character like gets emotions. I don't know. I just love that development, and there's a lot of that in this one. It was football. I don't really read football romance, but this one was so good. I gave it 5 stars. Again, everything I said about Colty with the slow burn and the character development is so good. I just really love her sports romance books, and I will always recommend it. So Colty is for you soccer fans, and The Wall of Winnipeg and Me is for football fans. But this last book on this list is my absolute favorite sports romance book of all time, and it is a Mariana Zapata book, and it is From Lukov with Love. It's a figure skating romance, and it's an enemies to lovers, and I gave it 5 stars. I wish I could give it like 10 stars. I mean, I can, who's stopping me? But on Goodreads, it's a 5 star. It's like a crime that I don't have the physical copy of From Lukov with Love. I just read it on my Kindle and I haven't bought it yet, but I have so many highlights in that. If someone were to ask Jasmine Santos to describe the last few years of her life with a single word, it would definitely be a 4-letter one. After 17 years and countless broken bones and broken promises, she knows her window to compete in figure skating is coming to a close. But when the offer of a lifetime comes in from an arrogant idiot she spent the last decade dreaming about pushing in the way of a moving bus, Jasmine might have to reconsider everything, including Ivan Lukov. Enemies to lovers is my favorite trope. Figure skating, or like any ice sport, is my favorite sports romance. Mariana Zapata writes some of my favorite sports romance books. Can you see where this is going? It's just like a formula for an amazing time, at least for me. I just loved the banter between Ivan and Jasmine, and the like secret pining that he does, and how you can start to see them warming up to each other even though he was the one that like fell first. It's just so, I love seeing the development between them. And Ivan is just such a good male character. He's so funny, but also cares about her so much, and their sarcastic banter is just so good. I literally love them so much. This is my all-time favorite sports romance book. I don't think I need to say anything else. You need to read it. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it's to read From Lukov with Love by Mariana Zapata. So do it and come back and comment what you thought about it. Unless it's negative, then keep that to yourself. So I'm gonna go through and go from most recommended to least recommended. So first we have Mariana Zapata, no surprise there. Love her sports romance books. Second place we have Hannah Grace, which was the Icebreaker and the Maple Hills series. Number 3 I have Liz Tomford, who wrote Mile High. Number 4 Rebecca Genshak. She has a lot of variety when it comes to sports romance, and if you really enjoy companion novels, I would definitely recommend her. In 5th place we have Megan Quinn with The Locker Room. In 6th we have The Captain by Josie Blake. Number 7, Shameless King by Maya Hughes. Number 8, Bad Boys Break Hearts by Macaulay Smeltzer. 9, Throttled by Lauren Asher. At number 10, we have Alex by Sawyer Bennett. Number 11, First Score by Lissa Lemayer. And number 12, all the way at the bottom, we have Heartless Player by R.C. Stevens. So there you have it. There is every single sports romance book I've read, ranked and recommended in the order I think is best fitting. If you know someone that needs some sports romance recommendations, send them this video. If you just want some sports romance recommendations and you took anything away from here, please comment down below which one you read and what you thought about it. Or if you read any of these, what you think about them. Is my favorite your favorite? Is my least favorite your favorite? I want to know. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!